Unit 5. Negotiation in Practice. This unit is designed to introduce the negotiation techniques and their main features. After acquiring knowledge from this unit, you will be familiar with essential negotiation in practice. The preparation and negotiation techniques play a very important role in the complex negotiation process. Regardless of whether it is an independent negotiator in two-way communication or it is a third party involved in the negotiation process, it is essential to use the negotiation techniques. In practice, negotiation can take place on the street, on the bus or at any other place, but that will certainly not be the case in a business negotiation involving complex structural elements. Steps in negotiation process. Preparation, goals and facts. The negotiator needs to know exactly what he or she wants. In accordance with his wishes and needs, he should set the highest and lowest goal and stick to them. This helps in preparing the strategy that would keep him within the given framework during the negotiations. It is advisable to set a higher goal in order to make compromises. The negotiator should know what the other party wants so that he would be able to mutually compromise within the given frames. If the negotiations reach the lowest point and the negotiator is forced to compromise further, he must say no and give up. The conditions for a high-quality and unobstructed negotiation are ensured by implementing the negotiating techniques. The space for negotiation. Psychic space. A reasonable space between the negotiator and the interlocutor should secure a decent distance. Getting too close can create an unpleasant feeling with the interlocutors. Physical space. Negotiation indoors requires a neat, clean and warm space. The room should not be transitory. If it is too small, it can create a sense of anxiety and discomfort, and if it is too big, it can create a sense of distance, disconnection, in the interlocutors. Reading the interlocutor. Reading the interlocutor implies searching for the real meaning behind the words spoken, active listening and observing the body language. Conversation control. Voice control. Behavior of the other party in the negotiations will affect the voice of the negotiator. The voice reveals real emotions, uneasiness, fear, indecision, premature joy, etc. One should listen to their own voice and try to control it. Thoughts and voice should stay in harmony. Proper use of the voice leads to more successful negotiations. Speech control. Speech needs to be understandable and appealing. It is important to emphasize the key words. The vocabulary should also be adjusted to the interlocutor. It is better to avoid redundant words from speech and take into account the dynamics, speech speed and pauses. Notes and conclusions. In most cases, it is necessary to keep notes while negotiating instead of trying to recall the details later. Compared to the speed of speech and thoughts, the notes are slower. That is why both negotiating parties should check them from time to time. The written conclusions made during the conversation confirm the safety of the facts agreed. The written word is a good tool for attracting attention and creating the thinking image of the interlocutor. Neutrality. As agreements in the negotiations are progressively established, they must be confirmed by neutral remarks. This is good. We will come back to this later, etc. The conversation should be focused on the terms and conditions of the negotiation. Variability. Everything is variable, including the interlocutor's fixed condition. The negotiator should neither give up nor immediately accept the new condition. Instead, he can buy time by writing notes, phoning, delaying. This time can be used for coming up with new elements, preparing to ask additional questions, etc. Preparation of conclusion. The largest part in the final phase of the negotiations is the preparation of a conclusion. If both parties met their interests, the negotiation was successful and is likely to repeat in future. The conclusion point will be reached only if both parties benefited from the negotiation. If the negotiator feels important, relaxed and satisfied, if he is convinced that he is trustworthy, competent, well organized and efficient, he will also be able to convince the interlocutor. The negotiator must not be mysterious, should not leave the interlocutor in suspense, create tension, discomfort, anxiety, addiction, fear, stress, and must not encourage aggressiveness. A good negotiator is familiar with different psychological types, so he attends negotiations relaxed, free of all other thoughts or prejudices. He knows the subject of negotiation inside out, he is well prepared and knows the facts, he is skillful in expressing his opinion, successfully recognizes the opinion of the interlocutor and thereby successfully concludes the negotiation. A successful negotiator does not leave leadership to the other side and is highly confident. Negotiation is a complex process in which knowing the interlocutor's personality, preparation, communication and negotiation techniques are of equal importance. The negotiator's behavior must be acceptable to the interlocutor. Two factors can help to create the right communication. Projection, the way you approach others, or more precisely, the trust, credibility and influence that you pass on to others. Understanding, the ability to understand the opinion of the interlocutor so that he can also see that you are trying to understand them. One should not underestimate the complexity of negotiating. It is a very broad topic that is not fully covered in this unit. There are a lot of tactical methods, psychological attack, the impute of possibly misleading information, high demands, misrepresentation of the main goal, fictitious negotiations, changing subjects, pressure and many others. There are some critical moments that occur in the negotiation process: threats and blackmail, lack of interlocutor's interest, deadlocks, limited time, etc. Negotiation is the trading of concessions. Tips from professionals. Set clear goals. When negotiating, promise only what you can do. Fully commit yourself to the interlocutor. While communicating, look the interlocutor in the eye. Speech needs to be clear, short and understandable. Listen to the interlocutor patiently. Avoid interrupting the interlocutor while he speaks. Observe the body language. Concentrate. Be flexible, ready to adjust, and keep in mind your lowest goal. Analyze the situation from the perspective of the interlocutor. Pay attention to areas of common interest. Control your emotions. Do not underestimate the interlocutor. Avoid conflicts. Carefully state the disagreement. Compromise progressively. Be open, but not without defense. Stand up for your goals. Be professional. Your face and your voice are your main tools. Negotiation is based on communication. Apply active listening skills in the negotiation process. See Units 8.1 and 8.2.